Good morning, everyone. I'm Jay Woodruff, a member of your parish committee. We're glad you're here online or in person here in our beautiful sanctuary. A special welcome to visitors. Please join us after the service, either downstairs or online for community time. Our mission is to build community, search for meaning, deepen our spirituality, and make a better world. Questions about First Parish or Unitarian Universalism can be directed to someone from our membership team at the welcome table downstairs during coffee. Also, Reverend Deborah and Kate Holland, our Director of Lifespan Education, are available after the service and would love to meet you. Thanks to all our service participants who are listed in the order of service, and please silence cell phones for our time together. I've been asked to pass on that the COVID risk remains at about medium, which means masks are suggested. But of course, RSV, other respiratory diseases are rated as high. So you can make your own choice about how to manage that. Any service participant who is unmasked during the service will have tested negative for COVID this morning. The choir tends to be masked all the time out of an abundance of extra caution. Please now join me in taking a moment to say hello to one another. And we can wave at the front camera, which is over there. Oop, it's moving. So hello to those online as well. A heartfelt welcome to all. Let us now turn our hearts and minds to worship. Thank you.
Strength.
What
beautiful. Thank you. Good morning, everyone. Good morning. I'm Reverend Deborah Bennett, the interim minister here at First Parish in Wayland, and it is so good to see you. I'm glad a few more people came to weigh this side of the boat because it was a little tippy this morning. It is so good to see you. Thank you for coming out this morning. Those of you online, a special welcome to you. It is so good that we take this time each Sunday to pause from our lives, to join together in community, to hopefully be inspired, and to just take a moment to pause from all the busyness. So welcome, welcome, and glad you did that. A special welcome and a special big thank you to our guest music director this morning, James Haupt. Thank you, James. If you want to turn around and give a little thank you to James. Choir, you sounded beautiful this morning, and we continue to send our best wishes to Polly Oliver, who is doing very well in her recovery and should be back with us very soon. This month we chose the topic of transformation. How many people love transformation? You think like, yes, I want to do that. Well, here we are this morning. This morning we're going to do a conversation about something that we love when it comes to transformation, hard conversations. How many people love having hard conversations? Yes, yes. So it is going to be an exciting day for some of you, and for the rest, just hang tight. It will all be over soon. I am going to begin with this beautiful piece this morning from someone named John Fox. It's titled, "When Someone Deeply Listens to You." When someone deeply listens to you, it is like holding out a dented cup you've had since childhood and watching it fill up with cold, fresh water. When it balances on top of the brim, you are understood. When it overflows and touches your skin, you are loved. When someone listens deeply to you, the room where you stay starts a new life, and the place where you wrote your first poem begins to glow in your mind's eye. It is as if the gold has been discovered at last. When someone deeply listens to you, your bare feet are on the earth, and a beloved land that seemed distant is now at home within you. So truly, may this be a place and a time where you come to feel your cup is indeed flowing over, that you are heard and understood and loved, and that you can offer that gift to each other. Now let's do that through our voices and sound. Please rise in body or spirit. We're going to begin our morning with our first hymn, which is, hold tight. It is, no, this is from last week. What is it? 324. 324. That is in the gray hymnal. Please rise as you are able.
Morning. My name is Kate Holland, and I am the Director of Lifespan Education here at First Parish, and my pronouns are she, her, and hers. So this morning, I need helpers for my story. I need 4 people willing to be human mirrors. Isabel, Fiona, Ellie, anybody else? Bueller, Annie, awesome, come on up. Come on up. Okay, so the first thing I need help with is I need one of you to hold the mic for a minute. Okay, I'm ready for my story now. So your job is to look at me and say, there's something on your face. Okay? You think you can do that? Okay, so Isabel, your turn.
There's something on your face.
What? I am a professional face washer. I've studied it for years and years and years. There is no way there's something on my face, right? Nothing on my face. Okay, you can go sit down.
There's something on your face.
Well, all of us have something on our face, and it's always going to be like that, so why should we even talk about it? Go sit down.
There's something on your face.
What? There's something on my face? I'm so embarrassed. I think I have to go home and hide under the covers.
There's something on your face.
There's something on my face. Thank you so much for telling me. I really appreciate it. I tried to get stuff off my face, but some of it must have been stickier than I thought. Would you do me a favor, Annie? Will you help me get it off of my face? I'm gonna take one of the towels. There we go. Can you help me get it off? You don't have to get it all off, just get most of it. Good. Thank you. Thank you so much. Go ahead, you can sit down now. So, I love doing this because it helps us remember, as Unitarian Universalists, sometimes we have to have difficult, embarrassing sometimes, and hard conversations. Because, you know, it's hard sometimes, even if it's something little. Have you ever been at a restaurant and you look across to the person across from you and you see that they have lettuce in their teeth? Anybody had that experience before? And, you know, it's one of those moments where you kind of go, oh my gosh, should I say something? Should I not? Will they be embarrassed? Do you think they'll be mad? And I think a lot of conversations, it's hard because you never know quite what that's going to be like for somebody. So as we talk about hard conversations today, I think it's always good to remember that we never quite know what how they're going to react, but it's worth having the conversations because we can all learn and grow together. So, thank you. I'm going to ask my friends, they're going to seek to head out the back, and I'm going to ask all of you to sing us out.
Thank you, Kate, for that lovely story. Just check in. Everybody smile a little bit and turn to your neighbor. See if there's any breakfast in there. So it is no missing that there are so many beautiful ministries that we hold in this congregation. And there's no missing that there are so many ways that your contribution keeps us alive and continues to bring our values out into the world. Your financial contributions are among those, and as we do our offertory this morning, as you are able, please be generous in your financial contributions so that the ministries of this church can continue. In the pews are our pew cards. If you prefer to give online, there's ways to do that, and you can also put those pew cards in the basket as they go by as a symbol of your doing online giving. But in whatever ways you give, thank you so much for continuing the ministries of this congregation. It is not missed.
I'm Kathy Schmidt. My pronouns are she, hers, and I am a lay minister of this congregation. This is a time in our service we set aside to acknowledge the joys and sorrows that we all hold. In both our sharing and in our witness, we affirm our covenant to care for one another. Each Sunday, we light a vigil candle in recognition of the pain and suffering being experienced around the world due to ongoing war and violence. May this small act help us unite in our prayer for the end to all suffering. If you have a person, as Reverend Deborah lights one more candle on behalf of all those joys and sorrows we hold in our hearts and are left unspoken, let us hold each other in a circle of care with a moment of silence.
Thank you, Kathy. Now I invite us to continue this moment of silence as our time of centering this morning. So this is that time where we all give ourselves permission to, put down the order of service, sit in any way that feels comfortable for you. If you like closing your eyes, I'll invite you to close your eyes. I will keep mine open to make sure that we have a safe space here for you. So you have full permission to just relax in this space. As always, we use our breath as a way to draw our awareness inwards. So I'll invite you to take a nice deep breath in and relax as you exhale. Taking another deep breath in and out. And then allow yourself to follow your breath. Follow your breath. See if in the quietness of this space you can actually begin to feel the beating of your heart. Sometimes I feel like I can hear the beating of my heart in the silence. I invite you to invite yourself to pull your awareness into your own body. Taking in this gift of doing nothing. Sometimes our lives are so busy, there's so many people to interact with, so many things to do. We rarely give ourselves these moments in the company of others. So as you sit in your own silence, I invite you now to turn your awareness to the fact that you are in the company of others. Noticing how you can hold both truths. You can hold the truth of your own inner space and the truth of our interconnectedness together. In a moment, Lynn is going to read a beautiful piece. I invite you to either stay in meditation if that works for you, or if you'd like to open your eyes now, feel free to do that.
Good morning. I'm Lynn Kavanaugh. This morning's reading is by Tanya Marquez, and it's entitled Approaching Conflict Like a Poem. I joined a poetry class recently, and I was captivated the first day by the deep wisdom my professor shared. To me, it was like being in church. Every word he spoke found fertile soil in my heart. There were times when I felt myself overcome with beauty. But the beauty I found in this class contrasted with the conflict I was witnessing at work, in society, and almost everywhere. One Friday, as I listened to my teacher recite one of our poems, I wondered, what if I approached conflict like writing a poem? Okay. I'm going to just back one sentence. One Friday, as I listened to my teacher recite one of our poems, I wondered, what if I approached conflict like writing a poem? What if everyone did? Most of the time, conflict is reactive. People tend to do and say things before they've had a chance to process their emotions or to understand the totality of the conflict. But I learned in my poetry class about carefully choosing words, not because they need to rhyme or to have a specific number of syllables, but because they need to be precise and beautiful. Poets are intentional about how to best deliver the message, how to best uncover the mystery of life so that others can experience it. And silence matters too. Part of the message is to pause, to wait, to give space, to breathe before the next line. There's also the rhythm. A poem is a song, and songs can touch on difficult subjects too. But the rhythm, the melody matters. Since that moment, I've been wondering, what if the next time I find myself in the midst of conflict, I can slow down and imagine I am about to write a poem? Then conflict resolution or transformation would turn into a craft, a laboratory where beauty is created. There would be a slowing down that would help me connect with what I'm really feeling so that I can find the right words to share that experience, and a silence to let me listen to the poem of the other.
In 1964, Paul Simon and Art Garfunkel released that piece, The Sound of Silence. Introducing the song at a live performance in Harlem in 1966, Garfunkel summed up the song's meaning as the inability of people to communicate with each other, especially emotionally. So that what you see around you, he says, is people who are unable to love each other. Indeed, it seems the list of things that people are having a hard time communicating about is growing and growing by the day. The Israeli-Palestinian Hamas war and conflict, the removal, or was it resignation, of Claudine Gay, reproductive freedoms and the right to life, vaccines, masking, who gets to use which bathroom, which books get to stay in the library, and who gets to read a story at story hour, climate change, guns, January 6th, election denial, kindness and the boundaries of free speech. Need I go on? The list is long. And to this long and ever-growing list of societal conversations we may feel we need to avoid is added our own more closely held list of personal conversations we often would rather not have. A talk with a coworker about an incident that felt hurtful. Sitting with your children or partner to talk about your health or death or money. Talking with your spouse or a close friend about that issue that is in your relationship that has come up once again. Talking to your neighbor about how their dog barks for 10 minutes straight at the exact time you want to go to bed every single night, and that is a true story. The list can seem endless as well. And yet, though we do not lack topics to converse about, when faced with the great dilemma to talk or not to talk, we too often find reasons to wait, right? It's just not the right time. I don't want to hurt anyone's feelings. They won't change their mind anyway, so what's the use? They just don't get it. I want to watch the next episode of the Great British Baking Show. I'm not feeling good. Maybe tomorrow. So a quick poll. Who likes seeking out those opportunities for hard conversations straight away and often? Anybody? I see one hand. I'm not going to call you out, but you know. And for whom is the preferred method something akin to, I don't have anything on my face? I don't see any hands. What's the other option? So the word conversation derives from the Latin meaning to keep company with. When we converse, we are keeping company with others, meaning we are present with them. The word hard, of course, means done with a great deal of effort. So a hard conversation is one where, quite simply, it takes some effort to be in its company. So it makes sense that hard conversations are not on our top 10 list of things to do on a Saturday afternoon. Now, you use, our Unitarian Universalists, we like that famous quote, although it's not clear where it's come from, but we like it anyway, that quote, "We need not think alike to love alike." Yes? Sounds good. The concept being that we can embrace diversity of beliefs and thought and yet still share a connection to a life force called love that draws us together. We can love alike. I think it's a nice idea, but I have found that despite our love of this quote, I think our practice of it may be just a little bit lacking at times. And I see two main problems in trying to love our way into connection. And I know there's surely more, but I want to highlight two today. The first problem we face are bubbles. Now, not the kind of boba bubbles that I like putting in my tea. Not those bubbles. Those are not a problem. But it's those big bubbles, right, that we have created and we have stepped into. Now, if you haven't watched that Netflix documentary called Social Dilemma that was out a few years ago, I highly recommend it, but be warned, it is very disturbing. In addition to other eye-opening information about the superhighway of the internet, the documentary illuminates how the search tools we use basically put us in bubbles and work hard to keep us there. You and I may type in the exact same words into a search, and yet we will not get the exact same offerings. Instead, Google or whatever search engine you are using is giving us information that it thinks, and it's scary that I use that word thinks, but it gives us information it thinks we want based on everything it knows about us, which is a lot, from our location to our past searches, from our buying habits to all the social connections we have. It does this so it can get us to go down those rabbit holes of click after click. Of course, those generate income for our advertisers, while it also affirms a single version of reality for us. And we often have no idea that we are even in a bubble being delivered repackaged information, one-sided opinions, and unjust demonization of others. It's hard to have a conversation with someone with whom we disagree, who has been portrayed to us over and over again as being part of the evil, monolithic group called other. And it's hard to have a conversation when we discuss topics with someone whose source material is very different from our own. I've recently read the book Talking Across the Divide by Justin Lee. In it, one of its chapters is titled, "But I Can't Talk to Those People!" exclamation point. I know we have all had that thought, haven't we? The thing is, those people are having that same thought about us people. I used to marvel at going out to dinner when I lived in Georgia and eavesdropping on the conversations at the table next to me. You see, it turns out those of us that are Democrats are actually indecent people with few values. And we are uneducated about what's important in life. Who knew? Of course, it's not just social media. We have all grown up in some sort of bubble created by our families, our schools, our towns. We're not so much unlike Jim Carrey's Truman character as we would like to think, are we? Sadly, our bubbles become echo chambers, places filled with people that will nod their heads at our rants and commiserate with our frustrations and echo back our solutions, which coincidentally almost always involve the other person changing. Justin Lee has a great line. He says, "The issues you care about most, the problems in the outside world that make you long for the reassurance of your bubble, cannot be resolved solely from within your bubble." And that brings us to what may be the underlying source of our hard conversation dilemma, why we often cannot practice the kind of love that we preach. Because I think our second problem is simply fear. Fear of leaving our bubbles, yes. Also fear of escalating a fight, fear of hurting another's feelings, fear of not being able to express ourselves well, fear of figuring out we might have been wrong. But mostly, I think our greatest fear is that we are afraid that if we enter into that conversation, that one we care most deeply about, whether with somebody across the political spectrum or with the person living in our own house, if we enter into that conversation, we are afraid that something may break in the process and we'll lose the very thing that drew us to conversation in the first place, the desire for connection. From the time we are born, we crave connection. Even the most introverted among us needs connection of some kind. I've been listening to this great book called The Stranger in the Woods. It's this true story of a man who lived in Maine in the woods all alone for 27 years. It's a really good book. Although he did not talk to anyone in all those years except two hikers, 2 times when he passed a hiker and said the word hi, He survived by taking things from empty cabins and entertaining himself with books and magazines and even a little radio. These things kept him alive, he said, affirming that even as a hermit in the woods, there was a need to connect with others, to hear others. And so it makes sense that we would be tentative when it comes to hard conversations if we feel that we are in fear of losing what we want most. Sadly, however, the less we risk it, the less practiced we are at figuring out how to be present across the divide, figuring out how to love alike, even when we do not think alike. In the political world, there's this organization trying to help people step through their fear and actually have hard conversations. It's called Braver Angels. Has anybody heard of them? No? Shortly after the 2016 election, three men, David Beckenhorn, Bill Daughtry, and David Lapp, founded Braver Angels with the mission to bring people together across the political divide through conversation. Their work is impressive, and I'm going to encourage you to look them up because I think it's transferable to many places in our lives. And they begin at this very important place with the idea of depolarizing. I like to think of it as bubble bursting. Here's what they say. They say much of today's epidemic of toxic polarization is driven by how we talk with like-minded people about those on the other side of the political spectrum. We become agents of polarization when we use any of the four horsemen of polarization: stereotyping, dismissing, ridiculing, contempt. These offer us artificial unity. Only smart people like you and me know what the country needs. An outrage machine. There those crazy people go again. And the illusion that vanquishing the other side will lead to a political promised land. Anyone see themselves in any of these statements? And they continue, as we retreat into our political silos, people on the other side become not just strangers, but enemies. How we talk among ourselves about them fuels fires that threaten our democracy. That statement reminded me of Desmond Tutu's quote, "If you want peace, you don't talk to your friends, you talk to your enemies." Now, I'm not a fan of the word enemy, but I think the point is well taken. When we retreat into our silos of fear or self-righteousness, we make the other an enemy by determining that they are not safe to speak with. In their work, Braver Angels suggests doing a self-assessment. So I'm going to give you one of these little quizzes because we all love those magazines where you take the quizzes, right? So here's a little quizzes. You can keep track of your score. Number 1, how often do I find myself thinking about, quote, those people on the other political side without much regard for the variation among them? I guess give yourself a 1 if not a lot and a 3 if a lot. There you go. Okay, so keep track of your little score. 2, how often do I find myself assigning mainly self-serving or negative motives to another group and mainly positive motives to my group? Number 3, how often do I find myself focusing on the most extreme or outrageous ideas and people on the other side, thereby making it hard to see how a reasonable person could remain in that group? Number 4, how often do I find myself comparing the worst people on the other side with the best people on my side? 5, how often do I feel a rush of pleasure with friends when we ridicule those crazies on the other political side? And 6, which of the following is closest to my overall emotional attitude towards the majority of people who support the other side? Hate, meaning they are enemies out to destroy the country. Disdain, they are ignorant and should know better. Pity, they are well-meaning but duped. Basic respect, they make contributions even if they are mostly off base. Or respect and appreciation, they make unique and necessary contributions. I won't ask you for your number, but I don't know, I would have done very well. They go on with suggestions about how to counter one's inner polarizer and how to have depolarizing conversations. And I'm not going to get into that list now, but I encourage you to look them up and we can do some more work together around that. Now, in full disclosure, however, I want to tell you that after being impressed with their work, I came across some information that would put my commitment to not depolarizing to the test. In my research, I discovered that one of the founders, David Bleckenhorn, prior to his involvement with Braver Angels, had worked to prevent the legalization of gay marriage. In 2012, he announced that he continues to believe that gay marriage is morally wrong, but he's in favor of legalization as a political compromise. Now, I will tell you, when I read this, I paused and I noticed a really hard feeling arising in me. Oh no, I thought, how can I share this person as a resource when he is so wrong about the morality of gay marriage? And truth be told, I asked myself what all of you would think about me for using him as a resource. Would I still be accepted and loved for highlighting someone like that's work? I felt my own fear arise, the core fear of disconnection, and I had a choice to make. Now, I could easily have just not mentioned that fact. After all, so much of the sermon was already written, and I would have had to go back and rewrite it. So I could have just not told you about that, and you probably never would have known about his anti-gay marriage stance. I could choose to not use Braver Angels, but as I said, that would have been a lot of extra work. Or I could pause, reflect on why I was so afraid to use Braver Angels as a resource, and be fully transparent with you about my fear and the temptation I had to discount their good work just because I disagreed with their morality in this area. Now, obviously, I chose to keep the Braver Angels in the sermon, but I wanted to tell you that that was a real moment for me, and it really brought up some questions for me. Questions about political correctness and cancel culture. And it makes me really uncomfortable to think that I may be challenged in one of their conversations, being very judgmental of the person across the aisle from me. Maybe my ability to not think alike to love alike is less than I would like it to be. But in the end, I keep coming back to the wisdom in our reading today. That maybe if I think of hard conversations more like a piece of poetry that we are all writing together, allowing the words to uncover the mystery, to leave space to breathe, to let the conversation be the transformative laboratory where beauty and love are created. Perhaps then it wouldn't matter so much the places we disagreed. Perhaps then the silent places would not be the dark places of fear, but the joyous, spacious places of our mutual freedom. 20th century Black lesbian writer, professor, poet Audre Lorde once poignantly wrote, "It is not our differences that divide us, it is our inability to recognize, accept, and celebrate those differences." And so before we end this morning, I want to ask you a question. What are the hard conversations that you need to have in your life? Is there someone across the political, social divide that you need to speak with or could speak with? Is there someone in your workspace? Is there someone in the congregation? Is there someone in your family for whom a hard conversation is just sitting there patiently waiting for you? I'll give you a moment to just think. I'm imagining that when I asked those questions, at least one person popped up in your mind. I'm imagining that for some of you, as soon as that one person popped up in your mind, you went, not that person. But they're there, and they're waiting, and when you're ready, maybe practice a little ahead of time, get some resources about how to do it. But know that it is in those hard conversations that we really, truly find our deepest connections. And if the conflict you hold or the hard conversation you need to have were a poem, what is that poem? What words can you share? What pauses can you allow? What gathering of yourself do you need to center yourself and prepare? And to remind yourself that that slight fear that you may be feeling at the thought of having that hard conversation is just a sign that you are about to break out of a bubble of silence, and that love can and will call you forward and let you be free. May we be people who become brave enough for any conversation. And I truly mean that as a congregation of people, as Unitarian Universalists. May we become known as those people that have brave, hard conversations, that really believe that love can connect us all. I'm going to invite you to join me in just a moment of reflection before our closing words. Thank you, James. How are we doing? Anybody have a name in mind of someone you might want to talk to? I'm going to invite you to join me in our chalice extinguishing, and then we get to sing one last time together. The words are in the order of service if you'd like to follow along. We extinguish this chalice, this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts and out into the world until we are together again. Indeed, love can guide us. Let's rise in body and spirit and sing our closing hymn. It is number 1008 in the Teal hymnal, When Our Heart is in a Holy Place. Please rise. do that so well. Closing words are by K.J. Charles. You look at people, and it looks like it's real because it's what we see, but there's so much wonder on the inside. As if you had a plain packing crate and it was filled with silks and Persian rugs and things that would spill out and make everything beautiful, if only you took the trouble to open it. So may we listen often to our own beauty and be willing to see each other's beauty, to open those trunks and let all of our beauty and love spill out and connect with each other. Before I send you off in peace, I have two quick announcements. One is that if you would like some practice having hard conversations, Kate and I are starting a series called Let's Talk About. So there's some online and there's some in person, and we're going to have a topic and we have a format that we're working on, and it's a way for us to practice having hard conversations. The first one is about political correctness. So I have a sign up here. You can also sign up online, but the sign up will be at the back if you'd like to join us. They are happening this week. So please do join us. It'll be a robust conversation. And then second, we are blessed today to have a guest from the UUA who will be with us. Evan, I just spaced on your last name, Evan. Thank you, Carvel Ziemer, who is going to join us right after service. So if you want to go down and get something to drink, they will be here at 11:15 to answer questions about our relationship with the UUA, what the UUA does, and just start to have that relationship. They are our regional lead representative, friend, and cohort. Co-conspirator, I don't know. They will be here with us, and that will also be online. So those of you that are online, feel free to stay online and join us for that. So my friends, go now in peace and take peace wherever you go, and love and kindness and all good things. Blessings.